Hello chat, hello chat, hello everyone coming in. Let's alright, let's get started. Class mode. Hello, hi, look at that thing in the corner. Isn't that funny? Can you see my cursor? There it is. Isn't that neat? Yeah, no, I'm leaving that up there in the corner so we can discuss. Man, that's a funny intro. I gotta make a centralized intro or something for all of this stuff. Anyway, hello chat. Hello. Welcome to day 2 of Riv Rider's 6-week gesture drawing workshop. I wrote figure drawing workshop in the advertisement, didn't I? Maybe I should update that sometime. Eventually. So today, I'd like to say that I did in fact do my own homework as well. Maybe not as in-depth as most everyone else, but it is a good exercise to practice, just so you can stay sharp on your perspective. Speaking of staying sharp, and by the way, here's the shape assignment. Here's my take on the shape assignment. I wasn't slacking. Were you slacking? I hope you weren't slacking. So here was my take on it. I'm very curious to see how everyone else did. I did. I say that, but I did look over all of the homework before the stream started. So let's start with responses from Twitter. The first response I got is from Twitter user Motions Last Mid. Thank you for submitting Motions Last Mid. That's, if you don't mind me putting it on here. I assume you don't mind because you replied publicly to the tweet. Let's take a look at how you did. So here's your 1-point perspective. Looking good. Excuse me as I pull up my outline for this for this stream. I wanna emphasize that some people might just get it doing well. You did pretty well on it. Other people I might give more in-depth critique, but I don't want to hose you down. I don't want to rinse anybody for doing the wrong thing or whatever. No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that's the path to growth. But I will be discussing things that you did do well and things you could improve upon if if you were to continue. If you were to do this exercise again, do it some more, or apply it in more practical applications, like drawing a real background, or maybe even drawing a figure, which we'll be doing eventually. So, before we get into the homework, I just want to bring this up. Let's make that bigger real quick. Last week, I kind of failed to speak to every single bit of the key terms regarding perspective. And I just want everyone to take a second to take note of this, take it in. So, when it comes to drawing perspective, I may have been misnaming things, and I may have been driving some people insane as they were watching. It'd probably be in retrospect, because if anyone wanted to correct me, it should have been in chat on the day it happened. So, with perspective, obviously, we have the horizon line. The horizon line goes... You can't see my cursor, really. It doesn't show up over the thing. But the horizon line is just where you set your uppermost boundary. How much of your composition is the ground plane or the sky plane? That's probably not a term, actually. I made that up. But it specifically is important because anything above the horizon line, any shapes, let's look over on the homework. Actually, anything above the horizon line, you cannot see the top of it. It might sound a bit obvious, but it's not totally obvious to some people, so I feel the need to point it out. And anything below the horizon line, you only see the top plane. You cannot see the bottom plane. There is no changing this unless, well, even if you say, oh, but it's flapping up, this is not the bottom plane. It's not the bottom plane anymore. This is a plane that is sitting up. It is looking. It is alert. It's there. You just don't see the bottom or top plane, depending on where on the horizon line you are. So I may have been driving a few people insane on Monday in the last stream when I called the vanishing point a focal point. That's not the right term. A focal point is something else entirely different. The vanishing point are things that, where all of these lines lead to. Your orthogonals. I did at least say orthogonal correctly. So, all of your lines, they will lead to the vanishing point, or even both vanishing points, or even, is it on this slide? No, it's not on this slide. I'll just invent it right here. Or, above to the upper vanishing point, or the lower vanishing point. It's a triangle. It's all just triangles. Remember what I said? The building blocks of the world are just squares, circles, and triangles. And then there's the transversals. These are just horizontal lines. They go across, and they are unaffected by the vanishing point. They don't travel towards the horizon line. They travel, parallel to it. So just keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the homework. So once again, this is from Twitter user Motions Last Mid. Excellent work on your perspective studies. Motions Last Mid. Fujo Sheep. That's a username to say out loud. All right. But it's all looking good to me. Here's your horizon line. There's your vanishing point. One thing I would say, so you drew this triangle out, right? That's fine. There's your orthogonal. There's your plane shape. It's going like this, and I'd like us to point out, well, just that this is technically incorrect. We would probably be closer to this. It'd sink a bit closer. In fact, this is below the horizon line, so this line would be going from the bottom. You'd see this part of it. But you got the right idea. You're seeing the top plane for everything above, or rather, sorry, below the horizon line. There's a bot. Kill it. Kill it. Ooh. How do we kill bots? Sorry, VOD users. This account was created December 27th, 2015. How do you kick something out of chat? How do you kick someone? Can we just block this person, and can they never return to the stream? Hover over and ban. I've never banned anybody before. I've never had to, at least. Oh, there it is. Ban Gengar from the street. Banned. Banned. Please don't do any bot. Don't do any bot actions in the chat. And again, sorry to the VOD users. Minor distraction. But good job here. Good job here. Love to see that. I'd like to say, while we're on the subject of just making sure these lines, making sure they are, they're more focused towards the vanishing point. There's no such thing as a perfectly parallel shape. This does not exist according to our vision. According to our vision, it all technically does converge to a vanishing point somewhere off in the ether. So if you were to draw, real perspective on a composition, let me get a square. Bam. When you're drawing in a real composition, maybe there is your horizon line right there, but your vanishing point could be way off screen. So if you wanted to produce a rectangle like that, bam, 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 and these are just vertical lines, they'd be closer to this. So keep in mind, no such thing as a parallel shape. And you did a good job. You did a good job making sure nothing was fully parallel. Things did converge into a point, but just make sure to keep that in mind. And right here, good job, good job. Love to see it. This is a little bit messy, but I see the intent. The real triangle is somewhere in there. I see it, and it's good. I like to see that. And I'm happy that you filled a full page with 1-point perspective, and you filled another page full of 2-point perspective. Now, I might have been misleading some people just a bit when I say you can create a shape like this. You can. It can technically create a plane like this, but this isn't technically like the best way to use your 2-point perspective. Yes, you can create a forward-facing plane, and it might look really, really funky. I apologize for any misleading there, but it more accurately would make the shape like this, and that's my fault, again, for not adequately explaining that. Your orthogonals must head towards the vanishing point, and your transversals, in a 2-point perspective, ideally they're still going towards... well, sorry, no. The transversals can still look like this. Things can still look like this. But just keep in mind, you generally use 2-point perspective to create shapes like these. And you did. You did. You took what I said and interpreted it to the best of your ability. I don't fault you for that. So you did a good job. Just keep in mind, when we're using 2-point perspective, we're probably looking at things more 3-dimensionally rather than face-on. 1-point perspective is where we start to see things more face-on rather than 2-point. But again, good job. Good. I see the top plane. If you need to, just whip out a ruler. If you're doing things traditionally, just whip out a ruler. It's okay. I mean, for these studies, it's good to freehand it, of course, but if you ever need to for more complex stuff, just whip out a ruler, and that will keep your hands a lot steady when it comes to things like this. So we'll look at this one really quick. We're not really seeing the bottom plane. So we should be seeing just a little bit more of that. And it's really tight. So maybe it is like just a bit tougher to see. But you see that the way these lines converge to the point, even if you were to draw the shape roughly around where it goes, it would still be kind of stretched just a bit. And if you wanted it to be a little bit closer, then you have to squish it just a little bit closer, and so on and so forth. You'd be seeing it more like this. Something more like this. So just keep that in mind. When something is above the horizon line, we'll be seeing the bottom plane. When something is below the horizon line, we're seeing more of the top plane. So that's the first page. That's the first image submission. Let's get to the next page. And there's your 3-point perspective. I will get to this with the next submission that I get to. One of the submissions had questions to ask about 3-point perspective. I'd like to answer right now using this this submission. Not necessarily answer it, but I'll be talking about it quite a bit. With 3-point perspective, our orthogonals not only travel towards one another now, they act with this in mind. With the third, rather, we don't have straight vertical lines anymore. Vertical lines have to obey the third vanishing point. So you don't have any straight vertical lines. Things do converge towards this middle point, and you did a good job understanding that aspect of it. I like that a lot. We just need to temper it a little bit more with the fact that lines on the the ground plane, whatever you want to call this plane, below the horizon line, they still have to obey going towards the focal points on the side. So rather than how this appears, we'd be taking into account the fact that maybe rather than this, we just know here is where this orthogonal would lead. It would look closer to this, and I don't blame you for thinking that was the right way to go. It's a very common like misconception. And I was just saying, straight vertical lines, they don't really tend to exist anymore. They have to obey going towards... Well, they can. Technically they can, depending on how you're shaping it. But ideally, you have lines that are obeying going towards, again, the third vanishing point. So if you wanted that shape, it'd be closer to this, or to this. And then it cuts off somewhere around here-ish. And if you really wanted to, if this is the shape you wanted to make, that's not technically incorrect. This again, straight vertical lines do exist, but your upward lines in general, they'll go up or down towards the third vanishing point. And like you did here, 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I don't think this is technically incorrect, but let me just run some magic through it. You've got the right idea again, but it's just slightly tempered by my misleading explanation. So we've created a triangle. We've created a triangle rather than a forward-facing rectangle, and that's not to say the forward-facing rectangle can't exist in this perspective. It can. Look, this is literally a building you see on the street somewhere. This block of cheese. But just keep in mind, that's probably closer to how that shape would appear. Maybe seeing more of the ground plane. And you can cut it off. We can use... Pardon me. We can use a transversal to go across and cut it off there. And it technically works. And we'll look at the other two shapes here. So this is going this way. It's expanding. That's good. But because the bottom vanishing point has entered the chat, it instead recedes towards this point. And if you want to make it wider, that's not really going to be the case. It has to actually expand out, which is a slightly difficult thing to explain, but you can use a straight vertical line to see just how high up you want this to go, to see where it ends, where you want this shape to end. And then this line would be obeying this towards this vanishing point. It kind of just looks like it appears from the ether, and it kind of does, because again, the focal point below or above the horizon line, wherever this third focal point, sorry, I said focal point again, I'm too used to saying it now, this third vanishing point, anything on this, like wherever it's placed, above or below, lines will head towards it. But on the plane above it, you're not as constrained in that same fashion. These lines, they're free to just fly wherever they want. You just have to remember, they eventually come back to the third vanishing point. So again, we can't really see the bottommost, or rather the top plane of this, because that's just where the perspective is always going to lead. It fans out from this point, more specifically on the bottom vanishing point. It all recedes, more specifically, to this point. Again, I don't blame you for thinking it needed to look like this, but that's the perspective you apply here. For something like this, it's more accurate to do... Let's do that. It just leaves, flies over there, then that line leaves over there. We bring another vertical line down, and then this line, you can shoot towards here, I believe. I believe that still makes sense. Maybe. Yes, it should still make sense. In my head, this still makes sense. Experienced artists in chat, please tell me if this makes sense. Part of me says it makes sense. In theory, it makes sense. The theory of it makes sense to me. But I'm quite positive. I'm quite positive it'd look more like this. This is the more accurate shape to what you're trying to do. And once again with this shape, we'll be pulling these orthogonals in, and we'll be pointing this towards that other horizon line. Can use straight vertical lines. And as you see right here, this doesn't work. That doesn't happen. This is the most it can stretch, really. Because then it does this, and then it doesn't obey. It doesn't obey this vanishing point. You can make the shape, but it doesn't. That means this isn't the vanishing point anymore. That means this has to go further outwards in order to support how that shape works. But even then, it doesn't quite. You don't quite see this plane on this side of the vanishing point. It's all very tricky. I very much apologize. So you wouldn't see it from below, but you can still see it from above. You can still see it as long as it's above this line. So does that make sense to anybody out there? I need chat to know if I'm just like not blowing steam out my ears about this. Validation beam? Thanks. All right. Awesome. So there's that. Make sure to send me more questions. Ask if you have more things you need to understand about this. Otherwise, let's move on. Let's get to their shape breakdown. I can't read what this is supposed to be. Is this Komodo? Is this a Komodo dragon? If so, excellent job. I like the liveliness going on in the shapes that you used. I like this tube. I like this cylinder. First time chatter says, yes, it is a Komodo. Oh, hello! Welcome to chat. We're going over your homework. So it's a little hard to read the shapes going on here. Oh! This is the back leg, is it not? Yeah, it's a little bit messy. But I like what you are doing. Komodo's legs are basically tubes. I got a secret of the world for you, buddy. Most things, most limbs are basically tubes. You did a Komodo, crow, and a peacock. Well, that's awesome. I do like the shapes at play here. I don't find these are particularly offensive. But I would like to say it's I did want us to primarily focus on trying to use circles, squares, triangles, so in essence cylinders, tubes, boxes, pyramids as much as we could. But you could, cheating like this into just having like a slightly curved box or a cylinder, or even the secret partial tube leading into a boxy end. That's fine. But the main thing I wanted to see was to see that you're looking at the world around you and seeing what you can do to break it all down into identifiable shapes, and you did excellently. Could use more more identifying planes, but that'll be for tonight's homework. Yes, you're still getting homework. Sorry. We're sneak peeking on that. But let's get on to the last image sent to me. You're an art degree dropout, so I sort of know some things. Unfortunately, my camera is bad. That's okay. We don't judge in here. This is a free class, so I'm not like judging you at all. But I did notice there looked to be some experience in what you've done, especially in these birds. I'm very sorry. My Facebook is if you can hear that, there's definitely no. Sorry, that's Tumblr. I should close Tumblr so that I don't get sounds. So anyway, you like your birds very much. I'm glad. I'm glad when people pull in from subjects that they're very passionate about. So this head breakdown, these circles going on to represent the neck, your pyramids for those beaks, and I like this shape. I like it a lot. This half tube, this half cut tube that leads into these triangles. And what is this shape if not just a box with triangles? So I'd like to encourage, at least for this, for these exercises, try to keep it even more like identifiably a simple shape as you can, while also remembering more planes as you go. But this is good. This is good. I like this. Like, it's hanging off, but it's energy. It's motion. You're getting a leg up on everybody by really breaking into the motion of these animals. I'm glad. And bird bodies, they're basically this teardrop shape, this big teardrop shape. This big elongated tube. It's fine. This is good. Only your second day and I'm already getting mocked by the real art students. Don't be like that. It's okay. Everyone starts somewhere. Some people start further ahead than others. It genuinely happens all the time. I will tell you, when I did art courses for the first time, I thought, you know what? I'll be fine. I know my shit. I did not know my shit. My shit got rocked. I thought I was doing well. I looked to my side. Someone who just learned drawing that year, blazing ahead of me. I'm like, holy cow. Oh. Came late, but you will watch the VOD because you're confused by 3-point. Didn't understand how I explained it. Don't worry. I'll even... Okay, well, actually, we'll go over it some more with the next submission we've got. But I just finished talking about 3-point perspective for your submission. So, make sure to look for that. For our next submission, let's take a look at Versus Souls 0 on Twitter. We're gonna call you by your Twitter username. I'm calling you by your Twitter username. Once again, very, very good stuff. I'm looking at the Twitter username again. Excellent stuff, motions last mid. Twitter.com. Love the motion. Love seeing passion. Love seeing these shapes break down. So, Versus Soul Zero on Twitter. They're giggling in chat right now. They also had issues comprehending what I was talking about regarding 3-point perspective. Don't blame you. I don't blame you. I could have done way better job explaining that. So, you've got the right idea here. On your on your 3-point perspective, you got the right idea. I'm actually very impressed. You have your third vanishing point off of the canvas. It's flying away, which is good. And you've got the right idea. there should be lines that obey going towards this vanishing point. I should put on my art glove. I'm just like rubbing my pinky raw against the against my screen. That's not the best idea, and it's not good for drag. It's not good for my strokes. So these lines extend. You're correct. They do act like that. Pardon me. This is the most real drawing I've done all day. I've been too busy preparing for the stream today. Your lines are, in fact, going to the right direction. I'm going to cheat and flip, but I recommend if you are doing this in a program that doesn't like let you flip, or you're doing this on a medium that you can rotate, you should rotate your canvas more often so that you can tackle and also just rotate your medium so that you can make strokes at a more comfortable in a more comfortable way. It all really depends. You did your best to avoid flipping when you did the homework, but you did rotate a lot. Good! Good. This is good practices, good habits that you're practicing. Pardon me if you could hear that swig. I'm yapping a lot. But basically, you did have the right idea. This is basically how 3-point perspective works. You follow every line to its vanishing point. You can paint bucket tool in if you're try to avoid anything that isn't possible in real paper. You can paint bucket tool IRL if you're dumb enough. This is true. This is called just dumping all the ink in your pen. You can rotate paper! It's true! You can rotate paper! The tablet hungers for skin. Awesome. But basically, you have it right. You have the right idea. But you can still introduce well, it really depends. It really depends on what kind of shape you're trying to build. But for the sake of this exercise, you've got the right idea. Every line on your shape is acting in accordance to perspective. So even though it looks a little bit wonky, this is in fact how your shape is meant to be perceived. It's just a matter of, excuse me, cracked. I was cracked. It's a matter of where you really cut off the image. So with these lines radiating down from your third vanishing point, you could cut it off, say, right there. Right there. You can make a funky unity box. And does it look the best? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But it is basically how this would look. It gets funkier the farther away you get from the horizon line. Drawn perspective feels a bit more exaggerated, says chat. In some ways. I didn't unlock the fourth dimension, which would be that there is actually like a fourth perspective line where these go to meet, which would probably help temper this just a bit, but it's too much. It's too much to think about. But you can make a fourth vanishing point to introduce just a bit more sense. But you generally use 3-point perspective for these very large, towering looking compositions. And like I said before, if you put your your vanishing point below the horizon line, they would just travel to here. And I want to say, I mentioned this earlier, this is basically the absolute limit of which you will see a front-facing plane. Because if you try to go down here, there's your vanishing point. It doesn't warp itself around to look like that. It has to just go. It has to stay within the bounds of this perspective. So sometimes perspective looks off because you've drawn really tight perspective, which for the sake of these exercises isn't a bad thing. But that might be why it feels weird when you draw it this way. 4-point perspective is a nightmare. It's how you draw fish eye lens by hand. I don't know how to do that, really. The fourth dimension is time. Fourth dimension is your... Yeah, you can't say that on chat. You can't say that on stream. We're an all ages stream. But, sometimes perspective might seem weird because you're drawing it in a really tight space. And I've drawn it from... This is me making an example with the bottom vanishing point. In this case, this looks a little bit more normal. Generally speaking, if you're going to do 3-point perspective, you should put your third vanishing point below the horizon line and try to keep it below the horizon line. If you're going to do it from above, try to keep it mostly from above. Try to keep all your orthogonals traveling to this upper point, because otherwise, if you're trying to hit below the horizon line, there's your fourth. There is where these lines would converge, and I feel I'm saying something slightly different from what I said earlier, but pardon me. You need a lot of water when you stream and teach and yap for hours, not hours, for minutes of unrestrained time. How have I already been going for half an hour? Anyway, everyone was cut out. Chat is saying, no, I wasn't cut out for academia. You're everyone always is. It's just a matter of figuring out what's the best way for you to learn. But this is probably maybe closer to 4-point perspective. Things just kind of go until they stop. But when you're doing 3-point perspective, try to keep lines, your orthogonals, traveling towards the focal point. Sorry, the vanishing point. Keep it above or below the horizon line. You can use these transversals. They'll be vertical on this side. They'll be vertical this time around. To basically cut off where you want your shape to be. So in this case, I'm going to make an example out of this. We've made a 2-story house. We've made a funky postmodern postmodern. I don't know. Don't get me for that. Ooh, I didn't say a funny word. We've got a bunch of building blocks in extreme perspective. We've got brutalism. This is true. All right. So that's the deal with 3-point perspective. Try to keep your perspective above or below the horizon line, depending on which one you're doing. And you'll need to excuse me for a quick second, because I live in a house full of people, and I don't have complete privacy to do whatever all of the time. So excuse me for a sec. Get back here. Get back. Get back. Get back in class. Get back in class. Sorry, that was probably not a funny bit for everyone actually listening. Anyone else take care of the elderly? Does anyone else as elderly not know how to use a remote in this day and age? It used to be so simple. You flick up and down the channels. But now they're being asked to navigate menus, and my elderly just does not understand how to do it, no matter what we try, which is unfortunate. I'm the designated TV turner honor, and this is usually the time our program starts. So, apologies for a bad bit. Let's get on to the next image submitted. This is versus Soul Zero's other 3-point perspective study. Is this the ends of it? It's practically the ends of it. We have a much better job here. The vanishing point, sorry. I look up at my own little graphic just to help me remember. It's all the way down here-ish. Actually, let's see where that converges. Somewhere around here. So you've got the right idea. You intuited correctly. If you want to make the perspective look the way you want it to from here, it needs to stay below the horizon line. That's how you make 3-point perspective work. And you can have your transversals, these vertical lines, go like that. And just like this, you've made a street corner. Take pride in it. Take pride in having a cool street corner. You can pull it back just a little bit more if you really, really want to. This was your 2-point, which if this is actually 3-point, you messed up somewhere. Okay, that's fine. If you were paying attention to everything I was talking about on the previous image, then it all works out. So, with 2-point perspective, again, the only thing that matters on 2-point perspective is that you have orthogonals leading towards the 2 points. They can be from either side of the horizon line, in this case. So, you can have 2-point perspective carry like this, and then like that, and just like that. When you put our transversals down, let's use a different color other than black. You'll be able to see that better. Bam, 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 and then this is a little hidden, so I'm going to dot that. Transversal, a vertical transversal, and now for the opposing side, it goes like that. Bam. 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 There we go. Main thing to note, with your 2-point perspective, the lines just carry on forever. But you're never going to have like a case like this. It's never going to look like this. Basically, when it starts to make a vertical line, that's kind of like where it stops. It stops making like a shape within the perspective that you want. So this is consider this the absolute limit of where your perspective can really go. So the box that you've created, it's going further down than this. It's totally within. Let's start over again, actually, and let's place these lines down. So this is the absolute limit of where your lines can travel, and they stay within the bounds of our perspective. They can do this. They can do this. This is still correct to a degree. Keep that like that. We gotta remember, and I gotta remind myself of this too. Lines can warp, but they don't warp with like too much, especially if we're doing studies. We try to keep these straight. So this is correct. This too is correct. And basically, yeah, no, you have it right. You do have it right. It just appeared more like 3-point perspective because it's just so tight. But it can look like this. It can look like this. This is still valid 2-point perspective. It just starts to look like 3-point perspective. But it's not, because these lines just travel on and on and on and on and on. So, does that make sense? Need to know if that makes sense. And the same would go with the same would go for if you're doing it from above. This is basically your upper limit. But lines can travel like this, on and on forever. When we're doing 2-point perspective, when we're drawing like this, there's our overlap, and we would just need to draw another line to assert where things are, then put a vertical transversal line. Bam, bam, bam. You need that. You need that. And we've made a box. And you can still use it. It's easier to just make boxes all day. But if you wanted to make a triangle, let's say like this is the shape, then bam, you just connect the points to where it makes sense. So that the shape doesn't track realistically with regards to our perspective, but you can make a vertical transversal. Bam. And technically this still doesn't it can work. It does exist in reality. It's just a matter of where do you cut it off? Where do you cut these shapes off? You know? It's turned into a mess of red, but I hope this makes sense. Riv is making a 5-point star in perspective to flex on me again. Just keep in mind, when you're working in perspective, try to keep your lines going towards your vanishing points. In 3-point perspective, try to keep all of your orthogonals traveling above or below the horizon line, depending on where you put it. And then finally, with 2-point perspective especially, basically consider a vertical line right through the vanishing point to be the absolute limits of how far you can stretch it. Don't want to be a stickler, but you don't constantly need to correct a line. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I am a digital artist. Control Z is ingrained into my brain. It's a very bad habit. But I want to teach everyone to use the eraser tool more. Use your erasers more when you're doing things like this. And then final tip. Final tip. Let's use the perspective grid tool, perspective ruler tool on here. Your vanishing points can come from way off the end of the canvas that you are currently working on. Gotta pick up this pencil with your hand tool. Yes. Yeah. So this is not the perspective that was set up here. In fact, we'll use the perspective ruler tool in Clip Studio Paint to compare how you did. So here's that. And then we'll put these two orthogonals pointing towards where the third perspective would be. And basically, oop. What's going on? There it is. There we go. And that travels that way, that travels that way. It's not technically incorrect. It's just not very common by comparison. And I think it automatically generated a fourth vanishing point. You say this because it wastes time and is a bit unnecessary for demonstrational purposes. This is true. Sorry to say, this is just how I work. But again, with these sort of digital tools, they might not work entirely how you think they should. I'd like to see right now, I'm trying to fight it to give me an orthogonal going in that direction. But you weren't wrong to do it the way you did it. So let's get to, and sorry, we've been taking forever. I'll try and speed things along. I just had a lot of things to say about these. Here's your animal studies. I like the variety of animals on display here. It's a mouse. It's a giraffe. It's good. It's good that you're seeing the world, again, with these different shapes and all. I can't fully identify what some of these are, but not recall, but just keep in mind, a body is composed of a lot more shapes than just this. So a gorilla's shoulders. I try to avoid like saying anything humanoid to begin with, but everything you find out there, every living organism, even bugs, they'll have joints that can be expressed with spheres. You can use cylinders to express more joints. And this is just keeping things really, really simple. Think about things like Mokujin from Tekken. Have you ever heard of that? Dear viewer, Mokujin is nothing but... He is just a log. He's literally composed of several logs. And ball joints, which are probably also a holdover from the PS1 days. But there's a lot more spheres and cylinders than you might expect on most things. So just keep that in mind as you try and do more of this. Try and break bodies down into more shapes where possible. And just keep in mind, try to keep it more along the lines of, this is a bit tubey, a bit ovally. Maybe it's spherical, but I'd like to see a bit more of just more exact shapes at play. But otherwise, good work with this. Let's get the next one. Oh, this is your 1 point perspective. Not much to say about this. You aced it. 1 point perspective is pretty easy to grasp. I want to believe. And you did a good job with it. Just keep in mind, there's your orthogonal. Doesn't necessarily travel like this. It's gotta travel toward the vanishing point. All right. So that's the Twitter replies. I gotta remember to rein myself in more often in the future. Let's head over to the next one. This is from Blue Sky, Ladvarian B. He's here in the chat right now. He was second in chat. He was first on my screen though. So here's your 1 point perspective studies. Good job keeping it centered towards the vanishing point. Same for this. 2 point perspective. You've correctly intuited that it needs to stay. It only goes a certain amount out. But here, once again, try to avoid when you're doing these sort of studies, and especially when you're practicing perspective in reality for real pieces. We can't just invent a new vanishing point in the distance. I mean, you can, because that's how reality works, but try to keep it so that it's going to where it needs to go. And again, on real compositions, just once more for spirit, once more for clarity. They can go wildly off screen if that's what you need. If you need a wider shape, you can go way off the canvas. And here's your 3 point perspective. Again, not bad, not incorrect, according to what we've been going over. But it starts to dip down into 4 point perspective a little bit. We're just sort of inventing orthogonals here. It's not a bad thing. It's not the wrong thing. But for the future, let's try and keep 3 point perspective, more 3 point perspective, focused towards the above or below the horizon line. And this person is cute. This is a cute little figure to put here. But this is the vanishing point. Things disappear at this point. So we can kind of make up perspective. We can kind of make up more more vanishing points just to justify its existence. But this actually just dips towards being 2 point perspective once you remove a higher vanishing point. We have a chat. We have... Sorry, I already forgot the Twitter username. Motions last mid, giving some feedback, which is good. I like to see students give each other feedback. I like this in real life classrooms as well. Since the lines look scratchy, even if you're using computer media, you're likely making scratchy lines because you're unsure how to draw the figure. That is correct. We'll go over this in the next section of the workshop. Ooh, we're running in an hour already. But we'll go over a bit about line confidence for the next section. But let's get to the next image submitted, and that would be Advarian B's Animal Studies. They also did a Komodo dragon. I like, and a peacock. Love it. Love to see it. Also, just have shaky hands straight up. It happens. We don't judge. There are definitely ways you can improve how you draw, but if you just have shaky hands, it is what it is. But hopefully, the tips that we'll go over later can help you, despite the shaky hands. So, let's take a look at the shapes at use here. Love it. Tube? Good. Blocky neck? Good. And I can say this from my studies. I agree. I agree that there should be a bit of blockiness in regards to how these work. Good idea, emphasizing that horses have a that spherical jaw. We don't need to identify much more other than it's a sphere. Good work here, identifying joints in squares. I had some trouble myself trying to figure out just like where do I define where these planes should be. What's the top? What's the bottom? In some cases, they were also just like really round. So I don't blame you for drawing it the way that you did. But it's good. Here's the Komodo dragon. Its hind leg, its fourth hind leg isn't visible. It happens. Not judging. It's talking about the last guy, but going over lines multiple times. Sort of done because you're not confident where the line is going. This is also true. But again, we'll discuss line quality a bit more going into the next section. But just to continue on, I like this. I like the sphere being expressed in the middle of this shape right here. It's a good idea because that's just how those things look. Again, good job with these joints. I like to see it. Yeah, just a little bit more attention to like planes, maybe more roundness. We don't truly see true flatness. But I wasn't asking you to pay attention to perspective while you're doing these studies, so that's okay. This is good. I like these. Good Komodo dragon. And I like this peacock, honestly. I like this. I like how this is constructed. And I like the special care made to the feet. So, really, I wasn't supposed to ramble so long, but oops. So, for our last one, you did a good job, Badge. Very, very good job. I like it. You've understood the assignment very well. So next, let's go to Pteraptosaurus on Blue Sky. He did a lot. Ooh, I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle also of doing more than one shape, which is awesome. Love to see that. So here's a bunch of 1-point perspective drawings. Not incorrect. Technically not incorrect. Just got to avoid having these little bit of warbly planes. Try to be a little bit more, confident about them. Hard for me to, say anything about that because I also have those issues when I'm just, sketching for practice. Again, good job. Like these more complex shapes. You gave it your all. I deeply respect that. This line, it's this shape here, it's really close to the horizon line. So we're just barely seeing that top plane, but it's not incorrect. And, you know, line thickness also plays a role in just how much is visible. So I don't blame that. Reminds you of the game that has a timer and parts that pop out. Well, it's fun. I like this. And if we look here, nope, not incorrect. You don't see that inner plane at all. Good call. But you do see it here. Good. Pyro, you did great. Sorry. Blue Sky user Teraptosaurus, you did great. I respect it. I respect this hustle deeply. Let's look at his 2-point perspective studies. Once again, apologize. They're calling me a parasocial streamer. No, I just know these people. No. But again, sorry again for misleading. This is not... You look again. You can make a shape that looks head-on like this in 2-point perspective. This is technically not incorrect, but you don't necessarily use 2-point perspective for functions like that. You would make sure these lines, make sure they're just going towards the vanishing point. We inverted the box. Maybe so. This is correct. If you have this shape just sticking out in front, yes, it does in fact travel like this. You don't see the backplane at all. Yes, you can have just a flat shape look like this. That's okay. It does technically exist in reality, but it's not adhering to the perspective, how it would work. Once again, I don't blame you for being confused. That is my fault. Just know it'd probably be looking something like... it's a very confused box right now. There. There's no longer a confused box. You see one plane visibly, and the bottom plane of it. Would it be... Nope, I can't really change that. But, otherwise, good stuff here. Funky shape going on here. Not sure what that is. But, nope, you're following the principles. Lines have to go to their vanishing point. That's the main takeaway here, really. Are we making sure lines are going to their vanishing point? I'm so sorry, Pyro. You did so many studies. I don't have the time to be going through each and every one of them. But you did excellently. Pyro. Blue Sky user Teraptosaurus. Ah! I'm sorry. Let's take a look at your 3-point perspective. Did you understand what I was talking about there? For the most part, yes. There's your 3-point. It goes down. Things are traveling towards there. And these lines are going down. You've created an inverted pyramid, which is basically, at its heart, 3-point perspective kind of creates inverted pyramids. But very, very excellent. You made sure, if you're doing a 3-point perspective, it goes this way. It goes this way. These lines meet like that. And on here, you made sure these are basically 3-point perspective studies. 2 separate ones on the same line. Not incorrect. Can happen. Is possible. But these are great. This is just the basic city study, which is good. Things just travel like that. But we're seeing... Yeah, okay, sorry. I interpreted this wrong. That is the top plane. You are seeing the top plane of that shape, which is good. Good. See, again, this isn't incorrect. This isn't technically incorrect. But when you draw below the horizon line, it starts to turn into 4-point perspective, which is less what 3-point perspective... This shape is less what 3-point perspective is made for. So let's try to avoid that. Let's try and commit above or below the horizon line for 3-point perspective. And if we're going to go above the horizon line when we're drawing 3-point perspective, let's try and use this. Generally, that does look good. This is that one Among Us meme. You know the one. Anyway, you did a good job on it. You did a great job. Here's the last one. Here's your animal study. We're going to ignore the funny part for now because I really want to look at the funny part so badly. But actually, what is going on? Oh, where did all this? Oh, that's where that background came from. Anyway, lizard. I think it's a lizard, or maybe it's a bug. I'm not sure, but I appreciate stacking spheres to express a shape. I love. I love this. Sorry, I was reading chat. It's a brief delay because I got distracted by reading chat. Good shapes. Good shapes. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Like this. Like what's going on here. I assume these are just like feathers, so that's why the triangle is a little flat. Let's try and express these beaks in the future. As two separate triangles. We wonder why the dinosaur guy is so good at dinosaur art. It really is a question for the ages. And again, we know birds, they have a very tubey body, very ovally body. So this is a fine simplification of it. I'm not opposed to that. Good job on the click. And now, Kermit! I can't do a Kermit impression, but I hope this is fine. I like this a lot. Yes, you've got a very good grasp for how these shapes should work. You should absolutely have left this line in, though. This is totally fine, even if it's not necessarily like correct. I like knowing that you considered planes in your shapes, what should be facing outwards and whatnot. You did a great job, Pyro. Blue Sky User Teraptosaurus. You did a great job. I wish I hadn't gotten to you last. But I just had so much to yap for an hour straight. And we're not even at the main lesson yet. So in the future, I'll try and be less in depth about these critiques. And in the future, if there ends up being more than just 4, I gotta figure something out there. But I'll try and I'll put a timer on. I'll put a timer on for like 15 minutes at most for these feedbacks. Maybe the entire feedbacks at that. Maybe 10 actually. Maybe 5. Honestly, it's gonna get shorter and shorter. But let me take a look at my outline. And all right. So that maybe dedicated day for optional feedback streams. I might do that. But I really wanted to do this. Raptor said thank you. Is he in the chat with us right now? Is he observing with us right now? But yeah, I might make a dedicated day. But today, at least, because I knew I didn't explain perspective well enough, I wanted to try and run back some of the things I knew I was missing. So that's the end of this part. We'll be going on to the next part. Give me about 5 minutes or so to rest my voice, and then I'll get into the next part. The next part coming up. Let me update that. Currently on technique, and materials. So let me get the stuff set up. Feel free to take a water break, take a bathroom break. I need more water. And yeah, just be right back. I say be right back. I'm still right here. I'm probably still going to keep talking to chat if you put things in the chat. But whew. For our next segment, we have videos that I have prepared from Proco.com. You typically do independent studies, mostly human anatomy, so you sort of know some things about construction, but not a lot of perspective. That's fair. You know, honestly, it's fair. I didn't practice a lot of perspective until college, because I didn't understand how it worked. And honestly, some days I feel like I don't understand how it works still. But I think that that made enough sense. Hopefully, it made sense to me at least. So, Raptor's the one who told you about this. Wow, that's awesome. Professor Riv got drunk last night, and now he's showing a video. This is true. So for our next segment, I have some videos that I've pulled from Proko. And I think it's morally okay for me to share these videos instead of lecturing about them myself, because Proko videos, they aren't the exclusive premium videos. These are the ones that are just freely on the internet. So anyone can use them as a resource. And personally, Stan Prokopenko has been in the industry for a very long time. He knows a lot more than I do. And he can explain things a lot more succinctly than I can. So let me get these videos up. I'm going to skip through some of it really, really quickly. Love your Kermit. Love your Kermit. Blue Sky user Teraptosaurus. Let's close these, and look, I did a good job on my homework. And let's pull up. Let's close that. There we go. New browser capture. Can I even... No, I don't want to do that. No, not browser source. Browser source sucks, dude. I don't like how complicated it is to try and mess with it inside of OBS itself when I could just do this. I could easily just do this. So, really quick, we're gonna start with materials. Is everyone back? Is everyone back in class? Is everyone back in their seats? So I meant to go over this as well in the first stream. But again, this class is not going to require you to get anything more than what you can use around you. So if you're using a big sketchbook, awesome. Are you using newsprint? Cool. Are you using a lined notebook that you got from the 99-cent store? That's fine. Are you using old notebooks that you haven't touched because you haven't gone to school in more than 5 years and you found it in the corner of your closet and you have a semi-dry pen because... Okay, that one's getting away from me. But it's totally fine. But it's good to build more habits. And because this is a stream, this whole workshop is mostly focused towards people who don't art much at all. I figure it is good to discuss just a few elements of good art technique and form. Not necessarily like your art form itself, but the form of how you draw is important. So we're going to succumb to React content, as chat says, and get into this. And also, I'll blast through what is necessary, through what is relevant, and I will supplement with information as needed. So let's get into the first video.
Are you tired of messy, wobbly lines? Tired of not having any control of your pencil? Are you only capable of using a series of short strokes? Well, don't throw in the towel just yet. Try drawing from the power of your shoulder. With just a few short years of practice, you can draw gestural fluid lines like you've always wanted. By using this patent-pending new arm motion, we guarantee you'll be able to complete that curve with one beautiful stroke. Stay tuned to find out how you can change your life.
Right. So, we're already going to start summing it up. That was the joke intro, but there is merit behind what he's talking about. He's going to talk about it a little bit more detail. But again, if you're drawing on something smaller, you can't necessarily use your shoulder to control your stroke. You can. It's just harder because it's a smaller surface. If you're working on a surface of like 3 by 4, 4 by 3, there's not a lot to work with. But you should still learn how to draw from your shoulder. Draw on a physical medium. Learn to control a stroke using your shoulder. And failing that, the next best thing that you got is your elbow. Try to draw from your elbow to control certain strokes. So we're gonna just quickly get to here.
Holding the
we're not actually gonna let him talk too much where we don't need to. But as you may realize, most of the world uses a tripod grip. We use it for writing. We learn how to do it like that. The tripod grip is good because it's perfect for writing, but it's not perfect in all times for drawing.
It's not practical to use the side.
Like this.
It's also comfortable to control with your fingers to draw very small, precise lines.
And it's good for drawing small, precise lines. And drawing from the wrist is bad because it could cause wrist issues. You can, in some cases, do that. Sometimes it's fine. I draw on a screen tablet, as you can see from my avatar. I draw on a screen tablet. I draw from my elbow, or I draw with the flick of my, with my wrist, but sometimes with my fingers as well. Personally, I flick. This is how I hold my pen when I'm drawing, kinda. It's more like this. Hold it like that. And my pinky is against the screen tablet for support. And then I just flick up. I flick up like that. It'll give me your old wrist brace from when you sprained it, and we'll see how much you can draw without your wrist. Ooh, bad. But I'll do it from my elbow instead, and flick with my fingers. But
for small strokes and
that's not to say tripod grip does still have its uses.
Overhand grip.
But
Your hand over the pencil.
if you're doing
hand should be relaxed
figure drawing
with the
studies,
fingers and thumb
it might help
like
you
holding
to
the
do this
pencil.
overhand grip.
You can still
You
use
can't
the
really
tip
do
of the
that
pencil
with digital
by one of
medium.
two
I
ways.
switched my grip,
If drawing on a
but you have to
horizontal surface like a
it's just a
tabletop,
little bit.
simply bend the wrist forward.
It's a little bit hard
If drawing
to
on
control
a vertical surface, such as a
because a
pad resting
pen
on
tablet,
knees
it's
or an
very
easel,
thin.
You can flip your wrist upside down and use the tip that way. Along with the tip,
But
the overhand grip
these
allows
are
you to use the side.
real life.
Much more versatile than the
Pardon.
tip.
I'm just talking while he's going. It's not very important. But basically, like I'm flipping. I can do these sort of motions myself on my screen tablets. Better at processing multiple audio sources at once. Pardon me. I'm used to just talking over parts of a video because I just see teacher speaking. Focus on teacher. But I understand. I shall not. But basically, while you can do these sort of things, I understand if it's not the most intuitive for digital stuff. A lot of this can be mastered on traditional and then applied to digital. This is correct, dear chatter. So I just do what's most comfortable for me. I draw from my elbow when I'm drawing on digital. But if you're practicing along on paper, try your best. Change your methods. Maybe file your pencil down if you can help it with a razor.
You can get thick, soft lines, thin lines, and a transition between the two.
And that's using the side of the pencil.
Controlling the pencil. Since grade school, we are accustomed to using the pencil for writing. Since writing only requires our wrist, we have decades of muscle memory developed for handling the pencil with our wrists. Though there's nothing wrong with using our wrists when it makes sense, we would be limiting ourselves if we didn't go beyond the wrist. The wrist serves well for small strokes and details.
Which is where most digital artists might be, because starting tablets are very small.
The shoulder serves well for short and long strokes. It's much better for steady lines and fluid gestural lines. Your shoulder provides a greater range of motion than your wrist. So when drawing larger shapes, curvy lines, use your shoulder. This is especially useful for gesture drawing.
We'll be doing that
Once you
eventually.
need to add some little details, you can switch to the tripod grip. Again, it's okay to use your wrist and hold the pencil with the tripod grip for smaller details. But watch out for this. Since using your wrist doesn't allow longer strokes, we end up drawing a bunch of short lines to create one longer line.
Which is something I noticed on some of the homework. And again, I understand. If you're drawing on a smaller tablet, you might just end up doing this. However, I highly recommend, as we've been talking about, as you see in this video, try drawing from your elbow. If you can't control with your shoulder, I mean, ideally, you're still trying to draw from your shoulder. Draw from your elbow to control your, how far you stroke. I was not using my pen to really accentuate that, but this is drawing from my elbow. This is drawing from my shoulder, and this is drawing from my wrist. It gets harder to control these strokes because this is just from my wrist. There's only so much you can do. But basically you got to try and train some more confidence, and that'll come up later.
This can get messy, and you may end up with hairy lines.
So think about that
Using the overhand grip.
in your next
Holding the pencil
drawings.
overhand allows you to use the side of the pencil. When sharpening correctly, as I explained in the pencil sharpening video, this allows you to get larger strokes of tone.
Not super relevant to this workshop because I'm not asking you to buy more materials, but keep that in mind if you work more traditionally. We're going to kind of glaze over it just a bit, but just know there's a lot of control you can have when you draw from your shoulder, when you do overhand grip, and when you're drawing on a canvas. So this next section is about muscle memory. You don't start drawing from your elbow. You don't start drawing from your shoulder just like that. You gotta work it. You gotta do it more often. And one way you can really start to work it in, you just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. But here's some important exercises I'd like you all to take away.
Start training your shoulder by filling pages of curves, circles, and straight lines. Draw 2 dots and connect them with a straight line to train your hand-eye coordination. Or draw 4 dots and connect them with an ellipse. Try ghosting the lines first by practicing the motion before making contact with the paper. This is a great warm-up before starting your drawing session.
So these are not going to be your homework, but I highly recommend doing them from now on. Add them to your repertoire of stuff. I'm gonna take screenshots of this, and I'm gonna basically say do these. It'll be your physical reminder of what to do if you haven't already taken notes of this. And you can go back to this video at any time. This is just Proco. How to hold and control your pencil. Anyone can find this stuff. Dyspraxia challenge level.
You can also practice controlling line weight by shifting your curves from thick to thin. Or if you struggle with filling in large areas with clean tone, then draw a 6x6 inch square and fill it in with a clean tone. It helps to shade only on the downstroke and lift the pencil off the paper on the way back up.
So that's basically all I wanted to show from this video. There's still a few more videos, but we're in the basically dispensing data part of the workshop. So on to the next one. I just want to quickly go over this. I think this one's a YouTube short. It might be one of his newer ones. Proco has been making videos for ages. No, this is not one. This is not a short. But I figure it helps just
pencil
to
and then go over all the
look at this. You don't need all of this. I'm just letting you know. If you want to take your studies to the next level, go beyond me. you can get things like this, especially the kneaded eraser. So let's run through here really quick. He has a fancy charcoal pencil. You don't need a fancy charcoal pencil. You can buy 2Bs. You can buy just normal charcoal pencils at your local wherever store. Where you get these. There's a bunch of options. If you're going to use it for drawing, take a razor and shave it.
The first thing I'm going to do is expose about an inch of the charcoal, removing the wood. Push the razor forward with the left thumb and control the position and angle of the blade with the right hand. Take off thin pieces of the wood and rotate the pencil. Make sure not to go too deep. If you try to take off all the wood at the same time, you risk cutting into the charcoal. Keep rotating until all the wood is off and there's a smooth taper from the wood corners towards the...
Yeah. Basically, you just you just shave it off a bit at a time. This is how you would prepare these sort of materials for, you know, real life figure drawing on you know, something that's not printer paper, really. We're gonna... Ooh, I'm not saying that comment out loud, but I thought it was funny, Squishy Fowl. So, you can use sandpaper. I'll be real. I had sandpaper in my beginner kit. I did not comprehend what it was for. I did not comprehend what it was for. Until now. But he recommends for sharpening. I was not told what it was for at all. It's either that or it was mentioned once and I just never needed to do it again. But you can get charcoal blocks as well, if you so wish. And yeah.
While constantly rotating the pencil.
Oop. Anyway, lastly, you can use newsprint for your sketching. It's ideal. Newsprint is the ideal surface by which you are practicing figure drawing because it's cheap.
The paper. I use smooth newsprint when I do studies because it's cheap and allows you to shade very smooth tones.
Yes.
It's important that you buy the smooth newsprint and not the rough.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with the rough, it's just that the smooth gets better details. The rough has some texture that breaks up the details a bit. Before you start drawing, make sure you're drawing on a thick stack of newsprint. This provides some cushion and gets smoother tones when you're shading. If you're getting towards the back of the pad, some of the texture from the cardboard will begin to show through. So constantly rotate the paper and make sure you're working on the top sheet.
Yes. So these are just materials you can use to make the learning experience a little better for yourself if you want. These pads, 18 inches by 24 inches, those are huge. They're meant to be used on a giant clipboard. So don't spring for these if you don't have the space to use them on. But maybe something smaller would be nice. These big pages would let you practice drawing from your shoulder. And it's entirely up to you just how you practice this yourself. But you don't need it for this class.
I encourage you to do the same.
And finally,
to erase, I like a kneaded eraser because I can shape it to whatever shape I want and I can use it to erase large areas or small details.
Kneaded erasers are cool because they're basically pieces of gum that you can shape into whatever you want. And they're especially helpful for charcoal pencils. Oops, accidentally pictured in pictured.
It also doesn't fall apart while you're erasing, and you can knead it to clean it up a bit.
Yep. They don't leave shavings either.
You'll need either a clipboard, a piece of wood, or foam board with clips to hold the paper. Put the pad towards your knees and lean it against the table or back of a chair. Hold the pencil like a paintbrush, sit up straight, move from the shoulder, and you're ready to begin.
So, that's Bungee Eraser has the properties of both rubber and eraser. So, in all honesty, Vine charcoal and maybe bristle or some sketching paper should suffice. IMO. I believe that. Because this is not a classroom environment, this is something you're doing at your computer, free of charge. You don't gotta go crazy for it. But something like this, yeah, like Vine charcoal, bristle or sketching paper, it should work just fine. I'd encourage you to draw from your Vine charcoal is so messy. Maybe so. Really, just draw whatever is comfortable to you right now. I have some, what's the word? Wow, sorry, I forgot exactly what I was talking about as I was saying it. Do what's ever comfortable to you. These are just things I recommend. If you want to like pursue this a little deeper, use like a more complex, not complex, but a more involved learning process. But again, this is mostly a class for like I aim this workshop at beginners. So this is why I would like it. I would like for you to consider these sort of things beginners. More experienced artists, you know what's up. But that's what you can do. That's what you can do. I recommend you draw from your shoulder. If you can't, draw from your elbow. Don't draw from your wrist. Make longer strokes. And once again, I will. It's in this video. Do these exercises. Do these exercises before you do your homework. Because an exercise is just how you improve. Just like real exercising, just like moving our bodies. Do I still need this video? I don't think I do. But you can check it out later if you really want to. I think I just got this because it was about newsprint. Yeah, it might have been about that. But this is also this one thing I want you to keep in mind. If you want to improve, if you feel like changing up your materials by the time next class hits.
At least. Let's talk about binding. Personally, I like a sketchbook that I can lie flat on a table or hold comfortably in my lap.
I just think stable sketchbooks are good for these sort of things. Stable anything is good for any sort of taking notes. As someone who went to college, a Faber-Castell charcoal sketching kit is still with you like 5-ish years later. Don't recommend springing for anything unless you really want to pursue it. I agree. If you want it, like I said, if you want to draw on printer paper and just use a number 2 pencil, that's fine. If you want to take it more seriously, get a sketchbook. Get a nice drawing pencil, and maybe get a razor, or go on OfferUp. Sometimes you find good deals. I did not know about OfferUp. Let me just take a quick second to like Google that. I've never heard of this site. Whoa, that gives away my location. You didn't see that. Anyway, the shopping app a la Facebook Marketplace. I see. Yeah, well, just hit your locals. Anyway, that's it for materials. That's it for technique. Keep that in mind. Draw from your shoulder. Try to draw big if you want to practice more. Don't confine yourself to a small space if you can help it. This is why I highly recommend just drawing large. Drawing on physical media. Draw on physical media. It teaches you good habits that you can bring into digital. And try out these exercises. Train your shoulder by filling pages of curves, circles, and straight lines. And for most people watching, I assume,
draw 2 dots and connect them with a straight line to train your hand-eye coordination.
That's a big one. Here's another video. I've been running through these. It's about line confidence. Line confidence. Look this up on your own time. 6 habits for good line quality. It could help you for your stuff. Apologies if you're overbearing. You love art so much and feel the need to warn others. Don't worry. I get it. I have a brother who went to art school, and he kind of felt scammed by the end of it and dropped out before he got his degree. Due to a few circumstances, but it's a commitment. Art is a commitment. Art requires work, and it's you need to understand there is work that goes into it. There is no such thing as an easy art course. That's a lie. There's never an easy art course. You have to put in work. You have to understand that artwork comes with an investment of time, energy, and oftentimes money. It's why I don't do traditional art. One, because I have no space in my home. Two, because it requires too much for me to invest into it. I have a nice tablet. I buy like a $20 screen protector, a pack of those every year or so, maybe more. And I pay for my art programs. These things last. These things last forever as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to be buying more paper, more pencils, more ink. I don't want to dispose of the waste. That's just me. But that's what I mean by art has a cost. A cost of investment, energy, finance, the like. So, that's it for this section of the lesson. We got 2 more to go. Let's see. Right. No, I went over that. So we're good. For this section, the next is the main brunt, the main meat of what I intended to go over today. So up next, we'll be talking about CSI Lines and the bean. Ouch. Pardon me, stretching. Take another quick breath? Maybe. I don't know. Just take a quick minute. If you need to use the bathroom, use the bathroom. In fact, I'm going to use the bathroom. And if you're not back in your seats by the time I'm back from the bathroom, I'm going ahead without you. So make sure you're back by then. I'll be right back. Chat says, I likes Riv's art, and I want to support the friend of a friend. That's awesome. Hi, chat. Get in your seats. Get in your seats right now. Get in your seats before I tap the microphone again. We're not tapping the microphone again. I'm sure that's actually very unfunny. I'm going to apologize again for tapping the microphone previously. Anyway, hi. So we're getting into the main bulk of the lesson today. It took 2 hours. Sorry. I'm so sorry for for it to get to that point. So we're going to be talking about CSI Lines and the bean. What are those? Not to turn it into... I'll be playing a video on this again. We're going to watch the whole video instead of me scrubbing through it. I'm just a little conscious about this turning into watch someone else's video o'clock. But basically, CSI. Your curves, your twists, and your straights. That's not how acronyms work, but these are strokes that'll help you in your drawing to make sure you avoid the chicken scratch, to make sure you avoid unconfident lines like this, where you're clearly drawing from your wrist. It lets you draw broad strokes that seem to capture what you're after. CIS. Call it CIS. Curves, straights, twists. Twists. It's twists. We'll explain why they're called twists when I open the video, but I'd like you to know those are the it was chat that asked me to spell it like that as opposed to CSI. CIS, CSI. I've been saying CSI Lines forever. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about the bean. The humble bean. Incomplete line. We need to work on that a bit. But the essence of the bean is basically we look at how a body is posed. Do we have anything in the YouTube thumbnails? Just real quick. Let's look at this guy in that thumbnail. In this fix your scratchy drawings. Basically, you're looking at a human torso. You're overlaying basically a rough idea of where the ribs are and where your lower waist is, and you're exaggerating. You're exaggerating how that looks, how things squish together, where some of the bends and the pinches are, etc., etc. Once again, professionals who've been in the game for much longer can explain this much more clearly than I can. So I will let Stan Prokopenko, who is totally live on stream right now, to provide exactly what we're talking about. So, 10-minute video. Strap in. Pay attention. Take notes if you must. Proko, get out of here. No.
There are
No. He's very important.
3 major masses.
He's too important to
connected
me.
by the spine. The head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. Today we're going to take a look at the 2 that make up the torso and the way they move.
Fuck your intro though.
Watching Proko. So,
Sorry, cursed on
is
stream
the
again.
bean? Well, the torso could initially be thought of as a bean. No, not
Skip
that.
over this.
This one.
The simple
This
bean.
is the one I'm talking about. We have 2 forms, one for the rib cage and another for the hips. You can even just imagine a sock with 2 balls in it. Whatever analogy you want to use.
That is
Basically,
dirty
we have
sock.
2 hard forms with a softer skin around them.
I've been watching this video. I've watched this video like 4 times in the last few days, and I just get so fixated on how much of a dirty sock that is. Anyway, I'm inflicting that thought onto you next.
The balls can twist, tilt, and turn. The cloth of the sock will stretch, pinch, or twist accordingly, which represents the way the skin would react to the same motion on a human body. To be more specific about what these ovals actually represent, here's how I think of it. The ribcage isn't a perfect oval. The curve stops at around the 10th rib and then swings back up to the sternum. But to simplify it, I'll continue the curves of the sides and use an oval. The oval of the hips actually includes the area above the hips. It continues up the oblique and meets the top oval at the thin part of the waist. As a result, the two ovals will overlap. Why practice the bean? The concept I'll be talking about today is a very simplified approach. It obviously doesn't get you a realistic figure drawing, but it's the concepts behind it that we're learning. Then once we understand those concepts, we can apply them to a realistic, more complex approach. Sometimes what I have my students do in my figure drawing classes is,
Pardon, if at any point you thought, I'm uncomfortable with naked people, sorry, I didn't warn that you'll be looking at naked people a lot in figure drawing. I'm going to recommend, and when I do figure drawings on stream, we're going to look at models who at least wear underwear, because I can't get away with nude models, I don't believe, on Twitch. Maybe I can, because it's artistic nudity, but we're going to be looking at naked people a lot. If you aren't used to that, if you aren't okay with that, you're going to have to start. Otherwise, you're going to have to tune out. So, continuing on.
a 20-minute session of 30-second poses just doing the beans. I tell them they're not drawing a person. Don't think of this
just answering chat again. I should be allowed to stream on Twitch naked people with artistic nudity. Twitch allows hot tub streams. They should allow this. This is true. But I don't know how the YouTube video will fare after that. These videos are not for kids. I'm not marking my videos for kids. I don't want them to be marked weird, at least. Anyway, carrying on.
The figure drawing. Instead, it's an analogy for the body.
Right. Very important. Do not think of this as a figure drawing.
Poses just doing the beans. I tell them they're not drawing a person. Don't think of this as a figure drawing. Instead, it's an analogy for the body. These are little notes that you could use later on in a longer figure drawing. It's the form of the torso represented in the simplest way. The reason we do this is to eliminate all details and not get distracted by contours or smaller forms. We do it to isolate what's important in capturing the motion and mass of the torso. How to practice the bean. Take poses and draw the equivalent bean at its extreme. Take note of that last part. You're drawing an extreme version of the pose. So if there's a subtle twist, make that twist even twistier. A lean to the right, lean it further. The process of exaggerating these elements creates a habit of actually observing each element. The things we look for to identify the bean are tilt side to side, lean forward and backward, twisting of the spine, and foreshortening.
So, let's keep that in mind. It's already fading away. What the heck? That was like frame 2 of it fading away. So we're gonna put this. We're gonna we're just gonna put it on the canvas for now. Keep this in mind when you're looking for the bean.
Let's start with a tilt from side to side. When there's a tilt or curvature of the spine towards one side, there will always be a compressed side and a stretched side. As these points move closer to each other, everything between them bunches up. You'll see wrinkles going across the torso. On the other side, these points move further away from each other, stretching everything between them. I'll always try to emphasize the stretching here and play down any kind of muscular bumps that would take away from the stretching effect. Here's a pose with a subtle tilt. Find the angle of the ribcage, angle of the hips, considering also the position relative to the ribcage. It's a common mistake to always put the two forms one on top of the other. Observe the angle from the top of the ribcage to the bottom of the hips. Adding an action line will also help to identify this relationship. A center line will emphasize the C-curve of this pose and show that it's slightly facing towards the left, since the center is closer to the left edge of the form. The second action is leaning forward or backward. It has pretty much the same effect of a tilt. The side where the points are compressing will get the pinch, and the opposite side will get the stretch. The only difference is that now the center line is on the stretching or pinching side. If the person leans towards us, there will be a crease on the front plane. And the center line itself also has a pinch. This sharp corner creates a tension in the front plane. On the back, show the stretching gesture line. When the person leans back away from us, it's a bit trickier to indicate with a bean. This looks too similar to a tilt. It's hard to show this because the pinch is back there. It's hidden from us. The only way to show that the forms are going away from us is with some cross contour lines, which indicate foreshortening similar to these cylinders. Twisting the spine. Alright, the twist. I love doing the twist. During a twisting motion, the skin will be pulled from one side of the form to the other. Let's look at what happens to this towel when I twist it. The string represents the center line. At the top, the plane twists this way, and at the bottom, the other way. On this side, the lines will overlap from the top. On the other side, they overlap from the bottom. Things are being pulled across the form to these corners. Sometimes it's confusing to figure out which side will overlap, which one's going to be in front and which one's behind. Basically, the two corners that are closer to us will have the lines that overlap the corners further from us. Makes sense because objects that are closer to us are in front of objects further from us. It's basic perspective. The center line is now an S shape rather than a C during a tilt or lean. So let's take a look at two angles of the twist with the bean. In this pose, we're looking at a twisting torso from the side. This means we see the center line of the front plane at the top and the center line of the back at the bottom. There's a transition from one to the other. As the front plane gets thinner and the center line starts to wrap behind, on the other side, the spine starts to come out from behind and twisting towards us. So only a portion of the center line is visible on each side. When looking at a twist from the front or back, you only see one of the planes, but it's being twisted. In this pose, the pit of the neck is closer to the left side of her body, and the pubic bone is turning towards the right side. Foreshortening. When a figure is extremely foreshortened, you'll observe two things. The first is a change of the oval shapes that indicate the ribcage and hips. We're no longer seeing the full length, so the ovals will be shorter. The second change is the position relationship between these ovals. One will overlap the other and sometimes cover up most of it. This shows that the ribcage is directly in front of the hips, so the torso is pointing directly towards us. In this pose, she's leaning towards us, creating a lot of foreshortening. I'll make sure to keep the oval more circular and overlap them a bit more than usual. I like to put a dot on the north and south poles of these forms. This helps me imagine how to wrap the center line over the top plane. I also see a twist since the belly button is pointing to the left. What's next? After establishing the bean, attaching the head and limbs is much easier. The action of the torso is the most difficult and most important to capture the body in motion. I'll talk a lot more about this part in the mannequinization video in a few weeks. Assignments. This week...
We're not going to do that. We're not looking at this. We're going to do one more video, actually. But that's basically realizing you draw legs like that a lot these days. Like this. Sharp knees and such. And not too bad. I mean, if you're capturing motion, it's a good thing. So we're going to play one more video. It relates specifically to CSI Lines. Just going into it more in depth. But understand, I'm going to take more screenshots that I'm going to add as part of the post-lesson wrap-up. It's following the CSI line thing, giving motion. Yes. I'm going to take more screenshots just explaining these. I'm probably not going to leave these here, honestly. because he already does just a good job as is. But your actual homework this week will be to draw beans. I'll go over it some more when class is about ready to wrap. But let's get on to the next video. Is this right? Okay, it's a short. It's a short video. I thought I grabbed a long video, but
you can avoid shaky and unconfident lines by using CSI. It can be hard to draw a complex or organic line accurately with a single stroke. Instead, break it up into these small parts: C-curves, S-curves, and straight lines. Straight lines work great to lay in your proportions when drawing from observation or when you're indicating structure, while curves are good for sketching and capturing the impression of something quickly with gesture and motion. With these 3 types of lines, you can quickly construct all kinds of interesting shapes that read clearly even at a distance.
So, we're gonna ignore that. That's basically CSI lines. Drawing curves, drawing S's, or drawing straights. You have to employ everything we talked about today in regards to just drawing smarter, drawing from your shoulder to achieve these sort of effects. Because, like, look, I drew from my wrist. I'm drawing from my shoulder. I'm drawing from my shoulder. I have a decent idea of where my lines will go because I'm drawing from a point in which I have more control over. Sometimes I do ghost still. It's a good idea to ghost before you commit to a shape. And it's a good idea to draw with more intention behind what you do in order to make something look cleaner. But when you're sketching, you can afford a few lines here just to feel things out. But just keep that in mind. If you've ever seen someone just like swipe back and forth before committing to a line, they're ghosting. They're ghosting to figure out how they want to draw it. Let me consult my outline really fast. So, would anyone like to draw with me, really quick? Would anyone like to draw along with Sensei for a bit? With Professor Riv Ryder? Are people prepared to draw right now? Alright, we are going to take these, save them really quick. In terms. Sorry, you're engaged in a heated discussion. It's class time! Get out of there! Sorry, I know the science behind, focus and attention. You can only give something your full focus attention for maybe 45 minutes at most, which is why I took some of these breaks in between the segments. But I know simply being here for 3 hours will do something to you. I apologize for that. So let's see. I'm naming this file. You can't focus on teaching. Why should I focus on learning? What? I'm focused on teaching. Bean stacking. Let's call it that. Turn these off for now. Add these to here. We're going to take away our vanishing. You can look. You can if anyone ever misses this image, just look up perspective. You'll find this graphic like out there. It's really easy to find. So next images. Let me pull up these two just so everyone can keep them available and in their heart at all times. You don't need to see this old thing. Window, image. And we'll do this. I want you to understand. Remember, they don't necessarily need to go one on top of the other. Oops. Just observe the angle from the top of the rib cage to the bottom of the hips. That's what you should be doing. Do we still have to do homework if we draw along? Let me look at what I'm assigning to you again. This is in-class practice. So when I took these classes myself, there was in-class time to practice, and we still had homework assigned to us. At least for these opening bits. I highly encourage what we're going to do right now. We're going to be doing the bean. We're just going to be doing a quick set of exercises so that you can be familiar with it now, and so that you're not putting it off to later. But I still want you to practice it a bit more, along with another segment of the homework. I'm sorry, I'm assigning 2 assignments that are due in in 4 days. It's in 4 days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So let's just get right into this. I'll go to Figure Drawing lineofaction.com. We're going to do only covered models, all genders, adults, and we're going to go fast with it. We're going to do minute-long bean studies. We're going to be looking at these models, and we're going to pardon me. We're just going to look and exaggerate their torsos, which again, their ribs, which again, in this shape, the ribs go like this. They go to the sternum, and then we're just pretending there's more to it than that, for the sake of learning, and the hips, and the torso that's created from it. Highly recommend you draw these shapes out. You draw the connecting part depending on where this motion leads. You draw the fold for if that's there. You can draw the north and south pole of the body, and then draw the front line. Draw the front line of these of here. It's the line of action, not line of action. Maybe it is the line of action. But draw a center line through both of your beans where appropriate. If your bean twists as so, draw the front and back line. It's not the gesture line, it's just the center line through it. So we're gonna do this. You can use a line of action to start if you'd like. Just so long as you clean it up. We will not be, maybe the spine line. I refer most, like, this can be the spine, or it can be the front. Like as it says in the leaning, it's just mostly just the front line. But I don't want to see, if anyone is doing this digitally, do not Control Z. I will not be Control Zing. My hand will come on the keyboard entirely to move the canvas around for myself, but I will just be erasing like the rest of you. Ideally, like everyone else. You can erase if you have to. You can even redo if you have to, but these are really, really quick studies that we're going to go through. You don't have a lot of time to do that. But if everyone's ready, let's get into it. 60 seconds. We're going to do 5 or 10 of these, depending on how I feel. So let's go! Let me actually make that bigger for you. Make that bigger for everyone. F12, F11, F11. And then we'll... Not that. There we go. Too scared to draw live? Well, you're not on camera. You're not the one on camera. So, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's entirely for practice. And if you're not going to practice with us, at least watch. Watch along. And try it out for yourself later. You're going to be doing 10, though. I am assigning 10 later. But anyway, let's go! The purpose of this of things like these, they teach you to see with your eye, to see from observation. Don't make things up like I just did. I just drew this upper bean so much smaller because I'm used to just drawing women all the time. And women have much bigger waists by comparison. Anyway. This guy isn't moving much. It's okay. I'm moving this aside. 60 seconds is a lot of time for just a torso. But I'm leaving the time open for everyone who's just like not used to this. I'll let you find your sea legs on the matter. Oh, and we're moving on. So again, exaggerate the motion that you are seeing through the... I can't answer that door right now, unfortunately. Exaggerate the motion that you see through the torso. So this is maybe not the best. And you can't actually even see where the pinch is, but we know there must be a pinch of some sort. Actually, I might even have the wrong idea, dude. This might be... I don't know. He's got a really funky... Well, it's an exaggeration, so that's whatever. These models could be better. They could be posing much sillier. I chose the clothed option just to stay safe. But when people are clothed, they kind of hold back a bit. I'm not gonna lie. So again, I have some issues right now controlling my proportions between these two because I'm so used to drawing with stylized proportions. But it's okay. You can draw these however you want. They can be slightly off base so long as the general proportions, the two ovals, are relatively proportionate to each other. There isn't a lot to this one, unfortunately. If we get another dud, okay, that wasn't a dud. All right. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of motion to capture out of this. If this is bunk, I'm going to, honestly, I'm going to go to Gesture Party after this. We're going to do one more. We're going to do the quick poses from one of the Gesture Party videos. I love Gesture Party. They make good videos for gesture drawing. Gesture Party, my beloved. Truing. You're so true. And we're going to work on a real timer because those opening poses that they do, they're not short. 60 seconds is so forgiving. I'm being so nice to everybody right now. Yeah, this is kind of bunk. I apologize. I did not expect this free resource to fail to deliver. Fail to deliver on what could have been helpful. Ow, my shoulder. Oh, ooh, ow. Oh, I can't draw with my shoulder if my shoulder is bugging. Anyway, that's a 5. We'll do No thanks, I don't want to join line of action, thank you. Let's look at gesture draw party. We'll pick one where someone looks naked enough. This person looks naked enough. Excuse me as I look for where everything is on here. A 1 minute pose. You know what? Okay, they're all 1 minute poses. We're speeding this crap along. Playback speed 2 times. Get ready to hustle. Yeah, we're gonna make up for it. All right, class, are you ready? I'm expanding my canvas also. It's easier that way for me. I'm trying to keep it all in view. So, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's gesture. Once again, exaggerate this. You don't have to make it spot on. You might have to invent a crease that isn't there, necessarily. And also pardon that the music is so chaotic. But again, exaggeration is the key here. The model will be moving a lot, and that's just how these things go. IRL. Here we have an excellent example of creases. You really see that. That stretch. Can we turn the volume down a bit? Yes. In fact, we'll just leave it muted. I didn't want to keep listening to that either. Only downside is that the ping is not audible anymore. Oops, sorry, I undid. I wasn't supposed to undo. Habits, people. We gotta build better habits. And now here's our final pose. There is no time to bant in real figure drawing. Because you just gotta go, 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 go. So this is just a taste of live figure drawing that can happen in a classroom. All right, then that's the last. That's the last. So in the end, we did do 10. I made you speed up like crazy. And keep in mind, your figure drawings... Oh, I didn't even... Oh, no, there's the center line. your figure drawings, your beans, will probably still look messy. I'm encouraging you to do speed draws. Because at the end of the day, a figure drawing is something you do really loose to warm up. It's something you do to warm your eye up to seeing the gesture, the motion in what you're doing. Hearing the gesture drawing piano 2 times speed is raising your blood pressure. I apologize. We'll keep that in mind for next time we do these. But that's pretty much the heart of today's learning. In summation, we recovered the crap out of perspective. I hope everyone understands 3-point perspective now in a better way than before. Say it with me. If you put your third vanishing point above or below the horizon line, you keep your orthogonals above or below the horizon line. How many Mark Ruffalo's did your beans get? I give my beans 3 Mark Ruffalo's! Because they're okay. They're just okay. We also covered CSI Lines and how to draw the bean. Basically, in order to give yourself more confidence and stability in what you do, try using curves, straights, and twists, and S's. I don't know. I guess I was on something else. I might have been conflating twists of the body when I thought of CSI Lines at first. What else? Remember to go back. I will screenshot certain parts from the videos that I'm going to need you guys to look at later, just to remember, so you can practice it on your own time. First off, we learned about the bean. We're not drawing a full person yet. We'll start learning how to draw real people next week, piece by piece. And we're going to go over proportion next week as well, about what goes into an ideal human. Ideal, key term there. But our starting morsel of human bodies is the torso. We start here. It's the starting bit to everything. Loomis! Yes, unfortunately, for all of you who dropped out of art college, I will be talking about Loomis. I did unfortunately understand it, so now I'm forcing people to understand it as well. But at least I'm not some stuffy professor who will never be understanding. We're going to be talking a bit about how you can make it's an ideal. It's an ideal that we're trying to make. And it's not a perfect shape. It's just something. It's proportions that will help you in trying to draw more things, and that's the thing we gotta remember. And I'm not grading you for perfection. I'm grading to see if you understand what you're doing. So let's wrap things up here. Let's talk homework. Yippee! Yay! We love homework! Oh no. So, let's clear this stuff off. Let me write down. Currently on homework. So, let's clear all this stuff off. So, for your homework, we're going to continue what I had you do last time. So, pardon me. Bigger. This time, when you go looking for pictures of animals, you're going to do 3 studies of animals. Draw the perspective plane of the reference photo. I'm going to make it smaller again. We're not doing animal beans. Don't get ahead of me. Just keep listening. Draw the perspective plane of the reference photo break your animal down into shapes that follow perspective. That's one of your assignments. It's the harder part of the assignment, truthfully. And the second assignment will be do another 10 studies of the bean on your own time. Use figure drawing websites or videos such as Gesture Draw Party. They might not all make natural poses, but at the beginning of these sort of courses, I'm focused on just making sure you understand shapes from all directions. I twisted my hand around so you'd understand the analogy, but you can't see that, so let's see. Let me talk a bit more. The first homework is going to make you have a breakdown. I apologize, but take it one small step at a time. Start with the perspective plane, and then do your best to see if you can make your shapes follow perspective. And you can cheat it just a little bit. You can cheat it just a little bit because the secret to this assignment is understanding that in reality, there are several different types of perspective going on at once. So one figure will not always be obeying the perspective you see in a photograph. There can be multiple different ones going on, but try to see if you can contain the shapes present on that assignment to the perspective. And in fact, let me get something that will help us. I'm going to go to the Animal Planet Instagram because when I searched up Animal Planet photos, it sent me to Instagram, unfortunately. But hold on. And it just kind of pissed me off, in all honesty. Last week, I was searching for photos. I assumed this would be a fine assignment, but then I remembered we live in a world littered with AI generations these days, and I'm like, I don't need this smooth, fake image of a cheetah running across a plain. Why would I need that? In what world do we need that? We don't. So visit places like Animal Planet. Go to other stock websites that aren't making what's the word? AI generations of junk. And grab those for your studies. So, let's say, for example, we have this. Take a moment. Really study the image that you've got going on. What do we see here? We see two lines heading off this way. Could that be? Is that our friend? 1 point perspective? Or 2 point perspective? It's probably two point perspective because that's how most of reality tends to play. But we don't really see a lot to suggest that other than the, how these line up. How these feet line up. So just take a moment. You can, if you really, really need to, you can draw over what you have if you're on digital. If you're on traditional, good luck, buddy. You can pull up the photo on your phone, lay some paper over it, let the light of your phone seep through, so that way you can sort of gently draw some contours for the perspective that you want. But from there, try and just draw and break down shapes that feel like they are acting in accordance to perspective. And you don't got to draw lines going all the way back. Do what we saw today. Ghosting. Just gently hover, maybe not even gently, hover your pencil, your tablet, your stylus, whatever, across to where the vanishing point might be, and use that to sort of comprehend what's going on there. This is going back like that. And like I said, in reality, there are multiple perspectives at play. This is the plane the cat is realistically on. While its surrounding goes off that away, doesn't seem right. But I'm asking you to just you're the masters of your own reality. Artists, you're artists now. I'm making you all call yourselves artists if you haven't been already. You are the master of your own reality. You create what you want. You create what you want to see. You've mastered reality. Every card you generate is upgraded. Slay the Spire reference for most people who do not play Slay the Spire. So try that out. Draw lightly for your perspective. You might want to. If you're drawing digitally, put your perspective on another layer and tone down the opacity. And there's one more thing I was going to mention. There was one more thing I'm going to mention. Don't do that. Erase it. Own up to your mistakes. Erase it. Do not Control Z. Accept your mistakes. Live with them. All right. So that's basically what you're gonna do. And then you do more bean studies. Bean studies? Easy. In all honesty, you'll fly through them. This is the hard part. I'm asking you to do it 3 times even. But I believe in you. I believe in all of you. I know you are capable of doing it. Everyone who showed up today showed they could break down the animal without perspective. So now we're just going to combine what we understand into one thing. So that about does it for the stream. Let me get my end of the thing stuff. Remember to follow on Twitch so you'll be notified of when streams go live. Again, I plan to run this class every Monday and Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, and if I stream any other day, it's most likely not going to be class related, unless I say, hey, unless the homework reviews get a little too out of hand, maybe I'll make a dedicated day for that. But I'd like to give some people the validation of, feedback, of just immediacy. Follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Tumblr if you want to stay up to date on the workshop's review posts and the homework replies. They'll go up either tonight or tomorrow, depending on if I feel like it. In the future, I'll try to have these post-wrap homework assignments available much sooner. And remember to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching the VOD. Thank you, dear chatter. I appreciate that a lot. I did forget to say that. Make sure, follow me on socials. Let me put up my socials image, actually. VTuber footer. Let's get an image on here. It's one of my favorites from last year. And of course, it is a self-indulgent Sona doodle. Wow, that was not lined up where it was supposed to be. Below the VTuber. Hello. Where is this image? Where'd it go? There it is. Follow me on socials. There's my socials. We're gonna magnify this. Twitter is not listed because I don't like Twitter. I don't want to be on Twitter as much as I can, but I do post there still. Let me make a duplicate of the thingy. Where is it? Copy, paste duplicate, turn that on, and add in twitter.com/rivuxart. And there we go. Also there. It's also there somewhere. It floats in the void. There you go. X.com, X formerly known as Twitter.com. Thank you. Remember to follow me on these socials. Primarily Twitter, Tumblr, Blue Sky. Follow me on Twitch.tv, where you're probably seeing this live. Follow me on YouTube. YouTube.com/ what is that channel called again? I'm sorry. Probably Rivux. Probably RivWriter Art, actually. Or just RivWriter. YouTube.com/RivWriter. YouTube.com/RivWriterArt. Right, we subscribe on YouTube. So remember to do that. And then finally, most importantly, I have run this class 2 times now. I have put out those homework posts 1 time now, and I am starting to see the logistics of just how impractical it is to rely fully on social media. I will put out a straw poll. Actually, let me make the straw poll right now. Do we need a Discord server? I'm not making a Discord server for chatting. Just to be clear, I don't want that again. I do not want one of those. It will be entirely for notifications. Because one of the things I hate the most is just running into other servers' promotional channels and then just dumping it all. And I do it over and over and over again, and I don't even know if people in the server are even looking at it. So at this point, if you are invested in what we do, well, dang it, I have to log into straw poll. Gosh darn it. I have 1 stream notif channel for you and only you, 1 open channel for homework only. Pretty much. But I mean, it was also going to be for art posting, art archival. That's pretty much what I see it as, because I can easily link it to Patreon. And if need be, I can make a new tier if I have to, but probably won't have to. Anyway, making a Discord server, making a straw poll Discord server for the workshop / notifs. Yes. No. No, we're not putting a silly answer on there. Create poll. Okay. So, in the Twitch chat, if you think a Discord server would be helpful, rather than just relying on my socials, or if you just want to keep relying on socials, or you just want to keep relying on Twitch notifications, you can feel free to say no. But if you think it'd be helpful, if you were to say yes, I'll share this around. And other than that, I think that's everything I needed to remember. Right, that's pretty much it. Good luck on your work. I know you can do it. It's 4 days until the next session. And I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good rest of your evening, morning, wherever time zone you're in. Bye.